Help me welcome, right here, ladies and gentlemen, Donnie Cates.
Well, hello.
Hey, Donnie, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you for having me so much.
Thanks for coming. How's the convention treating you?
It's going great. It's very, very busy and very cool.
It's insane here. Now, let's just get right to it.
Yeah.
You have several series at this point. You've got Buzzkill, Ghost Fleet, the Paybacks, Interceptor, a Tomahawk. Tell us about how you broke into comics.
I mean, like I think everyone else, I obviously grew up reading comics and everything. I actually kind of learned how to read on comics when I was a kid. My brother was just like super into baseball cards, and I always wanted the comics. But my dad would kind of say, if you're if you learn how to read those damn things, then I'll buy them for you. So I started to learn how to read on Spider-Man and stuff. Flash forward. I was never one of those guys who took a break. Like I read all through college and everything. I moved to Austin, where I still live. I was a retailer out there for a long time. I ran those stores into the ground, and then I just so enjoyed being in the mix of things and being in the industry. I just loved it, and so I ended up going back to school. Ironically, to be an artist. I thought I was going to be a penciler, but I found myself in classes with guys like Jeff Shaw, who draw some of my books, and Trad Moore. I don't know if you know who Trad Moore is. I was in classes with him, so I quickly did divorce myself from the notion that I was never going to be able to compete with those dudes. So I tried my hand at writing, and I took a summer off of school and I got an internship at Marvel.
Okay.
And when I was there, I mean, that's just like writing boot camp. Because every single day you're doing a copy for Previews magazine or a recap page on the newest issue of X-Men or anything like that.
Oh, nice.
And so it really was. It was like going to boot camp, and I got to kind of proofread a lot of really like the top A-list people's scripts. I was reading Hickman scripts and Jason Aaron's scripts and Bendis scripts and everything. And so I kind of got a sense of how to put one together,
Right, yeah. You have it in your face every day like that.
Yeah, of course.
Plus as a comic book reader, you're getting it before everybody else sees it.
Yeah.
Which is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, and seeing the entire process, from script to pencils to inks and everything. And so quickly after my internship, I dove headfirst into it. Started making my own little ash cans, my own little self-printed terrible comics.
No, you say it's terrible now, but then that's your art, that's your form, and it's
right. And I was terrible at it at the time. I promise you. Eventually, I just started going around to cons all over, and started just doing what everyone else does, trying to put it in people's hands, and eventually I got it into. Mike, the president of Dark Horse's hands. He really liked it. He put my first story in Dark Horse Presents. Dark Horse Presents led into Buzzkill. Buzzkill went into Ghost Fleet. Ghost Fleet went into Paybacks. Paybacks went into everything, and then that's it. And I've been really fortunate to be working steady for a couple of years now.
That's fantastic. So here we are now.
It's all led up to this very moment.
Starts, boom.
Yeah.
And so here we're in Seattle, and your new book that's out, God Country.
Yes, sir.
Was really well received.
Yeah.
We're talking not 2 months after the release of number one, the book's now selling for $40.
That's real weird.
It's insane, isn't it?
I got a gang of them on my desk. He just asked me for them. Yeah, that's real weird. It's the whole experience of that has been quite surreal, to put it kindly.
And so when you're in these conventions, when you're out here on the floor and you're talking to people, what's the reaction you're getting? What's the kind of feedback are you find that people are giving you?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no real other way to say it than there's a big difference when you do an image book that gains some traction but
Right.
there's just a different thing that starts to happen. I've always been very fortunate to have some really great supporters and fans and stuff, and I've always been very thankfully well reviewed by critics and everything. But yeah, God Country. This is the first con I've been to since God Country has
Really
come out, and it's funny. Yesterday, I was doing a signing at the Image booth, and one guy came by. He had a copy of it, and I signed it, and I said thank you to him, and he walked away. And I kind of turned around, and I was kind of looking at like the people with the booth, and I was like, "All right, so do you guys want me to hang out, or like am I done?" And they were like, "No, it's Donnie, dude, look." And there was like a line that was like around the side of the booth that they had just had to move away so that I couldn't see them, and I was like, "Oh, for real? Like for me? That's okay, awesome."
You get rock star status right there. Yeah,
it's just so surreal. It's a book that me and my friend Jeff, came up with, and just been toiling away for such a long time, and just see people, to see it connect with people,
Right.
just means the world. It's great.
And you work with Jeff on a couple of the books.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to work with Jeff on. I guess this is our third one now.
Right, Buzzkill, Payback, and now God Country.
Yeah.
So, tell us about how that collaboration works with you guys. It's obviously it's working.
Yeah. Well, I just tell him what to do. And he just. He's just like, yes, sir. Just real cool about it. No, Jeff and I have been buddies for a long time. He went to the same art school that I did. He went to SCAD, and while we didn't really know each other really well, I think he was like a year above me there. We kind of ran the same crews,
Yeah.
And then right around when I got my internship at Marvel, he got one with Disney, and so we were both we were commiserating. We were on kind of similar paths as far as working for free for Mickey Mouse.
Let's say who was the worst internship?
I loved my Marvel internship.
Okay, there you go. That's the right answer right there.
I don't have. Where's the camera? I don't have a single bad word to say about that company
or
whatsoever.
Disney. Both companies fantastic. Now I realize they're the same company now. That I realize that was a bad follow up question.
No, it really was great. But so Jeff and I have just been buddies for a long time, and Jeff and I have very similar goals as to the things that we want to accomplish in a story.
Uh-huh.
We both share a very similar sense of humor. If anyone who's ever read The Paybacks knows how just super goofy that was, and a lot of that it was Jeff just being a goofball and drawing weird stuff in the background. Jeff does something in this man's opinion better than anyone in the industry, and I think there's a lot of great artists out there who can draw some really great action. Jeff can sell an emotion, and Jeff's character acting. I think that I'd put him up against the best in the biz. I think that the humanity that he comes through in his work is what has always attracted me to him, and
vice versa.
Yeah, right, yeah.
That's very cool.
So I tend to write pretty emotional, weird stuff, except for when it's about like demon big rigs and stuff.
Okay, so let's nice little segue, because now you've got another book, Rednecks.
Redneck, singular.
Redneck, I apologize.
No, it's okay.
April
19th.
19th. It's a
Yes, sir.
vampire story.
Yeah.
But it's more than just a vampire story. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, well, the best vampire stories are always allegories, or they're stand-ins for a different idea. Vampires, the good vampire stories at least should be using them as something, as an idea. For me, so Redneck's an ongoing, which is crazy. I think I just finished writing the 13th issue. We're crazy ahead.
I was going to say, that's unusual to be that far ahead.
We're so far ahead. Lysandro Esthirin, who is the series artist, he's going into issue 6 right now. So retailers, we no worries about shipping late whatsoever. But Redneck is a very, very Very personal book for me.
Okay.
Growing up in Texas, as I did, unfortunately, there's some parts of Texas that are not the most actively kind or progressive places for different people. And growing up as kind of a marginalized person, or growing up as someone who is deemed different or unworthy or not the same, it can be a terror out there. And when my dad was growing up, he very much grew up in a family that was a lot like that. It was filled with a lot of hate, and a lot of prejudice, and things like that. And when my dad had my brother and I, my dad kind of took a chainsaw to our family tree and just cut that entire side of his family off, and relocated us to the town that would eventually inspire Arland in King of the Hill.
Okay.
I'm from a little town called Garland in Texas.
Okay, Bobby.
What? And so my dad kind of put his foot down and said that he was going to raise us in a different way than he was, and he wasn't ever going to raise us in a house of violence or of hate or anything. So what Redneck, to answer your question, well, what Redneck was really about is this a group of vampires who live out in East Texas, who are trying like hell to fix the bad blood that runs through their own veins, and trying to not be monsters anymore. That being said, it's not Twilight. There is some brutal things that happen in this book. The thing about vampires in the South, because we could sit here and we could talk about True Blood, right? The thing about those vampires in True Blood is that they were still gorgeous and like, poetic and like dark warriors and all this bullshit. So the thing is I always really liked this idea of a bunch of just good old country people who got turned into vampires and then just kind of stayed good country people.
That's awesome.
They're not pretty, that they're not charming, that they're not connected with their vampire covens, in across the sea or anything.
Just good old boys.
They're just some good boys.
Just good old boys just hanging out.
They really are just genuine. They have a cattle ranch that they live off the blood off the cows, and they sell the meat from the cattle that they slaughter in the barbecue shop that they run in town that their humans who work for them fill. And when the book opens up, things have been going great for a very long time. It's not a great life because they're isolated. Right. We get the feeling that there's not that many vampires left anymore. But it's a life. It's safe, and they get to be there. And then, spoiler alert, it wouldn't really be a comic book if it stayed that way.
Right.
And the thing that the magic trick that the book plays, I kind of think, is that you're introduced to this family, and you get to like them and love them and care for them. And then when their family is threatened or when they are pushed into a corner, you are quickly reminded that this is a family of lions.
Right.
This is a family of monsters.
Nice.
And they're going to do some monstrous type things to the people who have threatened them. And it's just a blast. I love it.
It sounds great.
Well, thank you.
And that comes out April 19th.
Yes, sir.
And it's not going to ship late because you're so far ahead.
Unless events beyond all of our control, there's absolutely no way.
Okay. I have time for one really quick question.
Yeah, sure.
Because we're almost out of time here, and this has been so much fun.
I'm a chatterbox.
That's I love that. So your books are all set in Texas. Would you say proud Texan, or you just want to keep Austin weird? Combination of both?
There's that hacky answer of you write what you know. It ended up being appropriate, especially for God country. If you've ever been out to West Texas.
Yes, I have, yeah.
You could travel back in time 10,000 years, it would look just like that, Right. And Jeff Shaw and I went out there for a research trip to start looking at everything. And Jeff Shaw said it best when we kind of climbed up on top of a hill and he was looking out at everything, and he said, You know, if you looked out there at the horizon, you saw a 20-foot tall Jack Kirby god fighting, like it'd be startling, but it wouldn't look that like out of line,
right?
Like it wouldn't be that shocking.
Yeah.
It's such a wild and interesting place. And then East Texas, if you've ever been to East Texas, is just it's scary. It's just terrifying,
right?
You know. And so, yeah, I like to incorporate Texas a lot because I like to try and go out of my way to show that there are beautiful things about my state that my Captain America taught me that you can love a land and hate its government.
Right.
And with that, I will say that is why I like to write that.
Don, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm
Absolutely.
looking forward to Redneck, May 19th, and continued success to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
having
much.
me.
This has been great.
That was awesome.
Have a great rest of the con.
Yeah.